Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, summer edition 2025. Feels more like spring. Yeah, old habits are hard to break. I talk about the weather. Very overcast. It's like 62. Yeah, so went from 103 to 62 in 2 days. Okay, so today, Fiesty Friday. Feisty Friday. This is the day that I get to offend. Even sometimes myself. So, get your big girl panties on. Stand firm. And if you need to change, change. If you need to make things different in your life, do it. Because I'm going to be real blunt today. That happens on Fridays sometimes. So, a lot of things on my mind right now. And it is not what I was planning on talking about, but I am going to talk about those things. Absolutely. Because the root of the problem goes to that. A lot of it goes to that. It might not even be the root. It might be the base. The root is even deeper than that. The root actually is fear. Fear is the root cause. But right now we're trimming back, because sometimes when a bush is so big, the root ball is so big, you can't just pull it up from its roots. Sometimes you have to trim it all down, then you can get a chain around it and hook it up to a 4x4 and pull that out. But a lot of times you have to dig around it as well. So it's not just, doing your, I gotta move to the other side of the road, doing your, the distractions. The person's just sitting there in their vehicle. I'm going to wait to get away from the vehicle, even though I don't have my hearing aids on, so it's not going to amplify the sound. It could still be louder than my voice. So, alright. Now we can move right along. Let get up the road a little bit. Alright. Where was I? Not sure, but I'm going to say, the root of the problem may take a whole lot longer and a whole lot more work than we have in a day, okay? So that's the key, is not to get frustrated because you don't solve the problem in a day. All right. Jim Rohn is what I wrote down in my little notes that I wanted to talk about today. He said, beware the blameless. And what did he mean by that? It's basically the blame game. I found myself blaming things. I went down to look at some flooring. The basement yet, and there was stuff that I was clearing out of the attic, clearing out of the basement. When I clear it out of the attic, it goes down into the basement. That way it's available for me to work on, because I can't just go into the attic anymore. And, I'm back, waiting for that service. So yeah, I found out it's not internet, it's service in general. I have some blind spots that my phone does not get any service at all, so it even affects phone conversations. So, what was I saying? It's basically the blame game, okay? So I'm at this flooring store, and it's not a random stranger. It's like my son-in-law. So I'm talking to him about, I'm not ready for the floor yet because I have to clear out the basement. He goes, well, you don't have to get rid of all the furniture out of the room. We can put all the furniture to one side, the large furniture, put it to one side, and then, do half the room and switch it and do the other half. And I said, no, it's more than just that, because I'm clearing out my attic. And as I'm clearing out my attic, I'm putting it downstairs to work on. So that the living space is not, it's only dealing with the one box that I'm dealing with, not the 10 boxes at a time that are sections of the attic, right? So with that, I said, he goes, oh, then, well, get to it. And I go, well, I can't. He goes, get to it this Saturday. Because I said, this is what I said. This is the blame part. I can't do it by myself. I need someone else to do it with me. Not just anybody. It has to be, it has to be my husband, because some of this stuff is his. Some of the stuff is ours. Do I get rid of it? I'm not going to just get rid of his stuff. So with that, I'm like, okay, I need to have him available to help me. But when he gets home from work, he's entirely too tired to do that. And he goes, we'll do it on the weekend. I'm like, that'd be great if we had a weekend. We haven't had a weekend. And when we have, it's been raining. It's been raining. No excuse for going through something inside. You don't want it, it goes into the garage, you don't have to touch the rain. But my habit already went to, it's raining. We normally want to do things on the weekend that are outside chores when the weather is nice, which we haven't gotten to those either because of the weather. Or because we're running from here to there. We have a funeral Saturday, we have a graduation party Saturday. 2 hours apart. 2 hours away from each other. Got a long funeral on Monday. 5.5 hour drive. Not sure if I'm going to that one because it's a 5.5 hour drive. So with that, this tiredness gets in the way. So I blame tiredness. I blame the other person for not being there to help. I blame the weather. There's always blame for not doing something that I need to get done. And sometimes we blame other people. When I worked in corporate, I blamed the boss for not having the availability to do this or do that or give me the proper tools or whatever it was. I blamed them for not giving me an opportunity to advance. I blamed them for the workplace abuse that was taking place that I was allowing in my life because I was raised a certain way. You give your employer all you got and you do everything, quote, is unto the Lord, but it ain't unto the Lord when you're disgruntled. It's only unto the Lord if it's joyful. But I was not in joy in that place at all. So it's you're talking about blame. You're blaming others for your life. And when you do that, you play small. Don't expect your life to be grand if you give away your authority. I've mentioned this before. I've covered it before. When you blame others, when you say because they, you give your authority to them. That's how that works. And when you don't have authority, you have left yourself open to not being able to move forward, to do anything. Helpless. Because it's through your authority that you have strength. So if you give your authority away, Where's your strength? When you say, so-and-so caused me to do this. Nobody can cause you to do anything. Now, that doesn't mean that bad things can't happen to you. It doesn't mean bad things can't happen to you, that people force themselves upon you on a physical sense. But anything other than physical, they can't do anything to you. Oh, yeah, they might bring a lawsuit against you. That's still a physical forcing of something, right? It may not feel physical in the sense that you're not being held down physically. You feel like you're being held down when you're like in a lawsuit or something. But you're not. You give that authority away to be dealt like that. And when you blame other people, there is not forgiveness. That is not part of forgiveness. See, remember you and not for the other person. It's so that you can be freed. So the chains are broken off of you. And as long as you want to hold that unforgiveness, that resentfulness, that because the pain is familiar to you. You understand the pain. Things have happened to you in life, and you're like, this is where the pain is, and I understand it, and I comprehend it, so I'm okay with it. But yet you're not okay with it because you're frustrated by it. But it's too hard to let it go because you know it. Where letting it go becomes unknown. And in the unknown, we don't know what is before us. And so there's fear. Remember I said fear. When you want to have control of your life, even to the death, you're not trusting in God. Now I got to remember where I was after that buffer. That was several minutes. Trusting in God. If you want to hold on to your pain because you're afraid of what may be in the unknown, and you speak negativity into your life, you speak death into your life by talking about your circumstances, talking about all the negative things that are going on in your circumstances, because your circumstances are crappy. Let's admit it. They are crappy. Life has not been a bed of thornless roses for me, where I sit there and smell sweet scents all day long, in soft, billowy petals, with aromatherapy. It's not. For most people, it's not. And different people have levels of what they can handle and what they feel is painful and what isn't. I hear somebody who's talking and they're not leaving the pain behind. They're embracing the pain. They're holding on to the pain. And they don't want to let go because they can control it. No, you can't control it. That is a falsity. When you don't let God be in control, you don't have control. You only think you have a control. You only think that your ability to control things is in your control. But you are being a marionette, a puppet on strings. That's all. You don't have control. You only think you do. It's an illusion. It is an absolute illusion. When you allow God to have control, guess what? There's desires and dreams inside here. He placed there. And if you don't pursue those desires and dreams, that's your fault. For whatever reason. Whether you want to stick in the mindset of, oh, it's ungodly to have these thoughts of grandeur. It's ungodly to have these thoughts of possible wealth. It's ungodly to have the thoughts of having a great life. It's impossible to have the thoughts that I'm going to have a working vehicle that I don't have to worry about breaking down on the side of the road or losing the brakes. My poor Toyota still sitting there with broken brakes. Poor Peggy Sue, Shirley. Oh, see, she's named. I care deeply about her. But I can't drive her. And the possibility of fixing her is slim to none. And I can choose to hold on to her. Because she's comfortable. I love that car. But for me to get behind the wheel and think that I have control, going down a mountain, I live on top of a mountain. So no matter what direction I go, it's going to be down a mountain. It'll only get the illusion while I'm kind of on flat ground that I have any sense of control. Or when I'm going up a hill that I might have any sense of control. But once that descent starts, out of control. Absolutely out of control. But at least when you're following the Lord and you allow Him to take control of your life, He doesn't take full control. People will go, oh, God's in control. God's in control. No, you are in control. He gave you authority. He gave you authority. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong here. People think I'm all about prosperity. I'm not about poverty. And there's a difference between poor and broke. Poor is not of God. I used to joke around, kind of by Wheel of Fortune thing is I'm so po I can't afford the other O. But even in jest, it's speaking that into your life. And I ended up being broke. I thought I was poor, but I'm not poor. Certainly not poor now. But I wasn't poor back then either. I was just broke. Why was I broke? I blamed other people. Blamed circumstances. I'm not saying that it's your fault that you lost your job or it's your fault that you can't find a job. There's a lot of circumstances surrounding that. But when you start blaming the circumstances, when you start not putting any ownership on yourself for anything, that maybe that particular thing, it was out of your control. Because we live in a fallen world. And stuff happens. And it could be a test of trusting the Lord for your provision, because He said He's going to provide. That's a promise. His children don't go begging for bread unless they speak it into their life. Unless they reject what God says and want to interject their own speech, their own words, instead of using the words of God. I've done it. I'm guilty. I'm still guilty. There's times I still, because like I said, when I was talking about the weather, when I first started this video, I said, old habits are hard to break. I'm in my 60s. I've spent decades upon decades upon decades talking negative about my circumstances. Talking about those things that frustrate me. Instead of speaking life into every situation. Thanking God for every circumstance that comes my way, because it doesn't have to stay that way. The diagnosis is not the prognosis. And that's in anything in life. But if you want to stay there, you'll meditate on it. You'll focus on it. You'll talk about it. You'll try to hold on to it because it's what you understand and what you know, versus trusting that God can bring you through it. That He may not have put you into this circumstance. That could be from being in a fallen world. He didn't put you there, but He can make the stuff that happened there in the circumstances turn for good. You know, that saying of because I'd always say, yeah, things happen for a reason, and the reason is either people are stupid or you were stupid. Meaning me. I either did something stupid and self-sabotaged my life, or my buffering, no internet, no phone service, whatever it's called. All right, so where was I? I was talking about self-sabotage. I've self-sabotaged my hopes and my dreams and my visions. I had them. I sabotaged them. Other people have sabotaged them. Other people have come into my life and sabotaged any hopes or dreams or visions that I had. But I allowed it. So either there were stupid people or you were stupid. Meaning me. Right? So when you think about it, not all things happen for a reason, period. Sometimes it's stupid people, one way or the other. But do we blame the other person? Do we sit there and go, oh, it was your fault this didn't work out? Well, maybe it was their fault for it not to work out that way or at that time. But not in general. Not in general. It didn't work out because you gave away your authority in the blame game. You gave away your authority. You accepted what somebody said about you. You accepted what somebody did to you. And then you held on to that anguish. You held on to that pain. You held on to unforgiveness. Because even if you have said you've forgiven that other person and you don't really think about that other person anymore, as long as you... Oops. The road curved in there. If you... Gotta find my thought again. Almost falling down the side of the embankment. a little distracting. But I'm not going to let it, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, it's the embankment's fault. It's the embankment's thought that I forgot my thought. That may be true, but I don't have to let it stay there, this forgotten thought, because I know what I'm talking about today. I may not be able to finish that sentence, and maybe I'm not supposed to finish that sentence. See, that's when things can happen and God can turn it to good, because maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. Or maybe the timing was wrong. Maybe this isn't the video for it. Maybe it is, and maybe it's supposed to come later. I don't question why things happen to me anymore. I don't. And for the most part, I say things happen for me. For me. Okay, I didn't get that job. I went to multiple job application, what do you call that? Interviews. Didn't get the job. Qualified. Probably better qualified than a lot of people that applied for the job. Didn't get it. I don't question why. I don't question it anymore. For one, it's none of my business why. That door was closed. That's it. Thank God that there's several jobs that I look back on now and say, thank God I did not get those jobs. Because I could have fallen right back into that workplace abuse mentality, because my brain was not in that space yet. It was still holding on to that. And do I ever want to go back? Do I ever want to go back into that field? No. Absolutely not. Even though the starting pay is twice the pay of what I got paid after 16 and a half years. No. Don't want it. Much healthier without it. Thank you, God, that I did not get that job. So sometimes all you have to do is trust, no matter what the circumstances look like. A friend of mine lost their home. Ended up at their in-laws, living, I guess, in their basement with a family. Today, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I don't know if they own a home, but they're not living in the basement. And seem to be doing very well. And they weren't even Christians. Good people. But they don't trust in God. They don't follow Jesus. I don't even know if they believe in Jesus. So when you say that you are a Christian, what evidence do you have to back that up? Oh, you can sound the part. You could be an actress or an actor, portraying the life of a Christian. But what's in here and what's in here? What are your actions toward yourself? I mean, I can go to say, what are your actions toward others? Absolutely. We're not talking about others. We're not talking about blame. We're not talking about, or they did this to me or they did that to me, so I'm going to not treat them, well. I don't care about them. How do you treat yourself? Do you speak kindly to yourself, or do you speak death? Do you talk about all the negative circumstances that are around you, all the negative things that have ever been done, all the negative things that says, oh, because my past looked like this, that's what my future looks like? That's bullshit. It is. Oh, you said shit. Oh, you're a heretic. It's heresy. You're not a Christian. Paul said some really things. And our English version cleaned them up because, oh, Lord forbid. But you know what? It's not even bullshit. It's more like pig shit. Because pig shit's hot. It's too hot to use as fertilizer. Yes. Too hot to use as fertilizer. At least cow shit. You can put foul. Remember, unclean animal. I don't think God hated pigs. I really don't. But there were things about pigs that made them unclean. That caused pigs. I was talking about pigs. That was a whole hill ago. You allow pigs to live in your barn. And I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about in here. Like I said, I love pigs. I love piggy pigs. I think they're adorable, especially when they're little. Adorable. You can train them like a dog. They're very smart. They only go potty in one place. They don't go to the bathroom all over the place like a dog does. Dog's got to look for that perfect spot, and it could be anywhere around your yard. A pig, they're going to pick one spot in the yard. That's going to be their bathroom. That's it. The only reason they're filthy is because people don't take care of their pigs. So they let them live in squalor. So I'm not anti-pig. But there's a principle here. There's a principle here that it's unclean. And it's unclean things that come out of your mouth. Just gonna wait for this car to go by. Oh, and there it goes. So, with that, a lot of traffic on this road today. A lot of traffic. I waited because I have a new medication I have to take. And because I have a new medication I have to take, it pushes back my time schedule. And I'm not getting up earlier than 4 o'clock in the morning to take meds. Alright, so, with that. Where do I wrap this up? The blame game? Don't partake. It's not a smorgasbord. It's pig slop. When you're working in a barn, when you have animals in it, you got to clean it up. An empty barn stays clean, but an empty barn gets nothing done. That's Proverbs, by the way. So, got some other things on my mind right now. I'm not going to tell you. but it's interfering with my thoughts about this video. You blame others, you lose your authority. You don't want to forgive, you want to have some kind of control. You have no control. You only have control when you give your life over to the Lord and allow Him to have control. And through that, He is not controlling. He does not want puppets on a string. He wants you to follow dreams and desires because they were built into you before you were formed in your mother's womb. These desires that you have, He placed there. And you can choose to follow them, or you can choose to have fear and not follow them. Don't blame other people for not following your dreams. Don't minimize them and say that which is holy is unholy. Because there are dreams and visions that God has given you. And your religiosity has told you that there are unholy dreams. Now, yes, there are unholy dreams. There are unholy thoughts. Come on, there we go. I was right next to my door and I lost service. All right, an unholy thought. So I'm not letting you off the hook about your thoughts. Because your thoughts come out this. Remember, God told you how to think. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are noble, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are a good report, think on these things. He tells you what to think. It's a no-brainer. When you look at true, you have to understand that true could be subjective, so you don't want to think about something that isn't weighed in the justice scales of God. What does God say is true? What is true in heaven? True is not your circumstances. It's not your circumstances. Oh, they may be true in the sense of, here's all the evidence around you. But what does God say? What are His promises? Stop blaming other people. Stop thinking that you have control when you don't give control over to the Lord. When you get to heaven, what are you going to do? When He gives account for you. Oh, it wasn't my fault. At least the man with the mina owned his stuff. Oh, but he didn't. He blamed the master. He said, you were someone who reaped where they did not sow. You were hard. You. So I hid it so that I wouldn't lose it. So now here is your mina back. He didn't steal the mina. He saved it. But what did the master say? He basically called him a thief, lazy, and kicked him out. And he took that which he had and gave it to the person with 10. But the guy wanted to blame God. Is that what we're going to do when we're in His presence? Blame Him for all our frailties? Oh, but God wasn't in control. You were. But you really weren't. Because when you don't let Him have control, the puppet master pulls on the strings. And you think you're in control, but it's all an illusion. All an illusion. All right, Fiesty Friday. Hope I offended some of you today. I hope that in that offense, you can take it and evaluate where you are. And say, no, I don't want to live in illusion. I don't want to live in illusion. And I know as long as I don't surrender it to the Lord, and let Him take control thereby giving me stewardship over my own life. Because that's the only way you'll have any type of control, is through the stewardship and authority that you have in Him. Because as long as you want to hold on to all the hurt, all the pain, all the fear, all the stuff, so that you have some sense of control, you will have no control. All right. Go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison. Subscribe. Right there. Mona E. Harrison. Subscribe. I only want subscribers so that I can have longer than 3 minutes. I really don't care how many people follow me, how many people watch me, what niche is watching me. Sure, I have a niche. I do. But I don't care if my niche is the ones that follow me there. I don't. Because the ones that need to hear it are the ones that will be watching. The ones that God wants to bring are the ones that will be seeing this video. The ones that God has this message for will be there. So I don't have to worry about it. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Do it on Facebook. Upload it onto YouTube. In the meantime, this video will be uploaded either tonight or tomorrow. But you can go over there and you can watch other videos that you haven't seen. You can pick and choose by the title. You can run at fast speed. You don't even have to watch it. You can just listen to it while you're doing the chores, while you're doing hobbies. Anything that you don't have to sit there and watch, but you can listen. That's a great time to listen to these. Thank you, Debbie, for watching. Blessings, everybody. And I will see you on Monday. Bye. Yes, there.